this is Iceland winter episode number 2. It's cold, which is why I'm not wearing that much clothing. And we're getting blown around by some snow. And I kind of love it. I don't know if we'll make photos, but I love weather like this in Iceland. It's so perfect. So we're gonna hit the road right now and hopefully find something to photograph in this weather, because it is absolutely wild right now. But first, today's video is sponsored by Squarespace.com. Squarespace is an amazing place for photographers and bloggers to build a really professional looking website really quickly and easily. It has a lot of templates that make it simple to get started. You have great resources too, like members only areas, easy to build stores for selling arts and even services. Of course, there's also lots of other great tools for creators, such as a logo maker and in-depth analytics. So if you're looking for a photography website or portfolio, head to squarespace.com/BrendanVanson for a 10% discount on your first purchase. Link in the description. The weather was so bad today that we barely made it back down to southern Iceland. The roads were wild, but we made it. Okay, so we attempted to photograph northern lights last night, but it was a little bit too cloudy, and really annoyingly, they actually light up Skógafoss here. I had no idea, but it just makes it pretty much impossible to do northern lights, definitely not in one exposure. So yeah, a bit of a fail last night, so we're running on a little bit shorter sleep, but we are back at Skógafoss again for sunrise. I have photographed this falls a bunch, and honestly, I kind of stopped taking pictures of it because they closed off a lot of it and you had to stay on the trail. And the trail doesn't have as good of photos as, for example, when you climbed way up top there. But I think that I am actually going to take a photo today. And I think not being able to go off trail kind of deterred me. But I have my Nisi 15mm lens on right now. And the other night at Skógafoss, it was really soft. So I want to test it today to see if I broke it by basically taking photos of Skógafoss. I'm going to go up to the left-hand side of the waterfall and use this width of this lens, so let's go. Disclaimer, after getting home I realized why the images on the Nisi 15mm were soft. It's a bulbed lens, and when the water gets on it, it gets really unsharp as a result. That must have happened when I was standing under the waterfall yesterday. Here though, the lens seems super sharp. I'm at the riverfront again, still with the 15mm. The images are looking sharp today. I don't know what the issue was the other day. Honestly, I have no clue. But everything looks super sharp, and on top of it, I've got a really cool bit of light happening up top. So I'm playing with the longer exposure, 3 seconds. Got my tripod super high, quite a bit taller than me, to get a nice perspective on it. And I think this is coming out really cool. So here's the 200% crop of this image. It's sharp, and the light is popping. So I'll be honest, when Nisi sent me this lens, and I'd not paid for this video, but they did pay for this lens, I was like very unsure of who this lens is for. It's not very fast, it's f4, it's not autofocus, and you have to set the aperture manually, so it's totally manual. But as I'm using it more often, because my 15-35 is still not fixed, I'm realizing who it's for. And it's the person that doesn't want to spend $2,400 on a 15-35. The person that wants to spend a much more reasonable amount on a wide-angle lens. This lens is for landscape photographers who have time to set everything up on a tripod. It started off being a lens I never took out, and it's starting to become a lens I take out quite a bit, so really enjoying it. I should also mention that I've had this lens for like 2 years. It's not a new piece of kit, just one I'm only starting to appreciate now. We moved down the highway from Skógafoss to Skógafoss, another place I'd love to get a couple of really wide images at. So obviously the ultra wide isn't ideal. It's not good for everything. It kind of distorts the world to make everything look flatter, and when the world is big and open, it kind of diminishes the landscape. We're here at Skógafoss, and from way back here with the ultra wide, it's just a boring photo. It makes everything look smaller. So I'm gonna use the wide angle by trying to get really, really close to the waterfall and using the width to my advantage. So let's get close to this waterfall. I tried to get down on the rocks at the base of the falls and use the ultra wide for an image that leads towards the waterfall. Then I got a bit soaked skipping behind the falls looking for an image there. In the end, I think the images came out pretty crisp, as you'll see in a bit. I should mention I'm also filming the video for this episode mostly on the 15mm lens from Nisi. It doesn't have image stabilization and it is manual focus, so sometimes my face might not be in focus. That's just because I'm kind of guessing on how many feet I am away from the lens. I'm having a lot of fun with this lens. I think one of the things about having new gear or different gear than usual is it forces you to be a little bit more creative or try different things. So I've come to Skógafoss, I don't know, 6-7 times, and I've taken the same sort of photo every time, but having this different lens forced me to try something a little bit different. And it's not my usual photo. It's a little bit wide, a little bit right up on the water, but I think it's pretty cool. And I also managed to get behind the falls and do a really wide shot. I'm not sure if it works. It's definitely going to be one of the ones I need to edit, so I guess you'll find out right now if it worked or not. Yeah, it works. Ish. Weather's definitely improved, and we've swung way over to the south, over kind of by the glacier lagoon. In fact, this is a glacier lagoon. I can't remember the name of it offhand, but we came here for sunset because usually it's kind of cloudy in Iceland and you get really nice reflecting light off the clouds here. But today it's like bluebird sunny day, and you're photographing the iceberg way into the backlight. And I don't think this lens is gonna work for this situation, but I'm trying to challenge myself. So I'm gonna go down as close as I can to the waterfront and just try to find something to photograph with this lens. Even if it's not the best photo you could make at the location, I wanna make the best photo I can make with this lens in this situation. So we'll see what that is or if it's any good. It's definitely the wrong sort of situation for the 15mm lens, but I did the best I could. At first I tried to use the entire width of the lens and get the entire landscape, but it kind of made the whole world feel flat. So I focused in on some of the details. So often we think that wide-angle lenses are for big landscapes. But sometimes, to make a great image, we have to work backwards and use the quote-unquote wrong lens. My intimate details aren't mind-blowing, but they're something. And they're certainly better than my big landscape images were. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I struggled at that last location with FOMO, with camera gear FOMO, because all the images I was seeing were long lens or at least mid telephoto, and I had the ultra wide. I ended up doing things like some detailed shots down at the rocks and things just to try to do whatever I could. And yes, I had FOMO, but I also had so much fun with the lens. And I'm not gonna talk too much about the sharpness and all the techie details of the lens. It's sharp enough, that's the most important thing, and the contrast and colors look great, so I'm happy, and I think I'm actually probably going to use this lens a little bit more in the future. And as for the future, there's another video coming up tomorrow morning from the south here in Iceland. See you there. Peace.